Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. And I'm today joined by one of my erstwhile colleagues, Chris.
Hello.
Say hello, Chris.
Hello.
Yeah, we did try and get Jamie to join us for this one, but he's busy doing other things, apparently. So, no, it's just me and Chris today. And I thought this one would be a bit of a fun one. Trying to get ourselves off some of the more negative points we've been speaking about GW recently in regards to their app. But yeah, we put a good article up on the community website. So 2020 has been it's been a pretty bad year, to be fair. But discounting everything that's going on in the outside world, for GW, I think it's been a pretty good year if you look at it in a very, very, very specific way. And they've put up a poll basically for us to choose who the winner of Model of 2020 is. And I thought that'd be a good, not thought exercise, just a good way to ramble off on my particular thought on who should win. And obviously I've invited Chris as well to give us his opinion on who should win. And I've asked you to think about this for last 24 hours, haven't you, Chris? So go on. Model of the year 2020. Who do you think, or what do you think is the best GW model have put out this year?
Okay, well, before I say that, I know you started off by saying we're trying to get away from a negative topic, or trying not to be as negative in this one. But unfortunately, I'm going to be a bit of a miserable twat in this. And as much as I love the idea of voting for the model of 2020, I think how they've gone about it, just to start, is a little bit lazy and a little bit poor. Like, there is a lot of content, there was a lot of models, that they've released this year, and I cannot keep track. I'm forgetting what's been released compared to previous years. And this poll that they put up, what they should have done is for each of the models that they've included in that list is put a quick link that takes you through to that model, so that you can then, as the voting public, you can, if you want to refresh your memory of what's come out, you can just go through, quickly click on that to go and look at the models. But there isn't. It basically means that you have to manually type in every single individual name in the website to try and find it, look at it, etc., etc. So I, call that lazy on my part. I just think that's a bit poor, really. I would have liked to have been able to just quickly or click on the link to be able to take me straight through to the model. That aside, rant aside.
to be fair, mate, as far as their digital exploits have been going, that's not the worst thing they've done this year.
No, I know, but I mean, come on, it doesn't take much just to put a quick link into each of the options that they've included in that poll, in that list. I think it's just irritating. But yeah, my model of the year would be, and I'm pretty sure Jamie's going to probably agree with me on this one, and if he was on this, he would have, I'm sure, probably selected the same one, would be the Silent King. Now, I was thinking back over the models I could remember that have been released. Mostly, most of my memory's been taken up by the Necron release, obviously, because that's been so big and more recent with some of the other Space Marine releases. But trying to decide on this, I was quite, part of me was a little bit stuck between him and Illuminor Zaras, if I've pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
The reason why I thought about him was just because I really love the technical element that's gone into all this sort of the effect that they've got in terms of that guy being kind of stripped away of all his flesh and into the Zaras's hand. So I thought
that's a triumph of modelling and the paint job.
Yeah, no, of course, but I just think in terms of that, that's quite a sort of powerful diorama and pose. So that made me sort of think about that. I loved the Necromunda models that recently got released with the shields on the, I forget what they're called now.
I want to say Van Saar, but I don't think that's right.
Yeah, the recent models. Put a picture up anyway. You know what I'm on about. I just like what GW is doing with the model sculpts now and how they're pushing it a little bit and having obviously the see-through plastic to kind of show those force fields. So yeah, I thought that was really good. But yeah, it's got to go to the Silent King in my opinion, just because he's the scale, the technical, just the detail that's gone into the entire model. The Silent King's cloak, everything about him. It's an amazing diorama on its own right. I just think it's really imposing, and for me, it's just the thing that really sticks in my mind and stands out ahead of pretty much anything else that they've come out with. They have released. It's got to be up there with like possibly one of the best models that they've. Well, in my opinion, actually, it's probably pretty much top of the range now in terms of what they've been able to put out. So yeah, for me, and I'm sure Jay would agree with me on this, the vote goes to the Silent King.
Well, listen, I think we can all agree that GW have had a bit of a triumph with this revamped Necron Rage. It's almost all of it is good. I mean, even the stuff that I wasn't too keen on in the beginning, it kind of grows on you like a sort of horrible creeping weed, and it's all good. And I agree with you. The Silent King is a good little diorama, but that's the thing, though, isn't it? It's not one model. The Silent King himself, you got him, the throne, his two chums, those big
that
black
counts as the one model. It's all one model.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to find points to poo-poo on this because
you're trying to justify your selection.
I don't listen. My selection, it needs no introduction.
It's predictable.
It's got pedigree behind it, mate. But the Silent King is a great model, but it's a lot going on, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why it's so great.
Yeah, but I would argue that the Void Dragon is a better model and it's got less going on just because of
don't get
the
me wrong,
look of the thing.
It's a nice model. Again, like in terms of design, like the face or the different options that you have, like the faces are incredible again. Yeah, great model. Sticks out. Fantastic again. With obviously you've got the loose debris that's floating up next to him, how they managed to do that. I mean, that for me was probably first done. I think you first started to see that sort of style with the Yin Khan avatar of You Need. Have I got that right?
You could do, mate. I am really bad with all these names.
Yeah, I should know that one, but I've been out of the hobby for a little bit now, so I'm a bit rusty. But yeah, so that's obviously not really a new sort of technical style, as it were. But I think Silent King steals it, mate. He's just dominating and impressive, and you just get straight away from seeing the model, you get what that guy's about.
It's not the Silent King though. It's the Silent King and friends. So, like I say, I'm not taking anything away from this. Right? Yeah. Sorry. Sorry about that. There's something going on in the background there. The nitpicks. I'm trying to find when you're trying to poo-poo a choice just to elevate yours. It's like the Silent King is a fantastic model. Fantastic diorama, but that's it. I mean, my choice, he stands up on his own because he doesn't need all the accoutrements that Silent King's got going on. Doesn't need any friends, even though he did come out with one. He doesn't need any friends. He doesn't need no big floating orbs. Doesn't need none of that. Doesn't need none of that because my pick for Games Workshop's Miniature of the Year 2020, it's got to be Gazgul Thracker. The biggest, hardest boss there is. This model has been... The Silent King's a new model. It wasn't reinvented. It wasn't an existing model that they had to update. So they couldn't... They could go wrong, but they had a better starting point. Whereas Gazgul Thracker was an old model. And he is one of the most iconic characters in the 40k lore, I would argue. He's like the top dog of the orcs, like the big boss. And for them to take his old model and reinvent it in such a way that screams orc, it's fantastic. It is a model that could sell a range just on how good it is, and it doesn't need a lot of fancy extras like a floating throne, or it doesn't need to be part of like a bigger diorama like a load of other boys around him. It's just one humongous dude in big hard armor just ripping off 4 quad miniguns, and he looks like he's having a great time to do it.
Yeah, well, I don't deny, mate. He is a very nice model. But he's again, to take away from that a little bit, he's standing on a rock like most, pretty much like 80-90% of all the other characters in Warhammer 40k. So he's not particularly, he's you say obviously about Gazgul being the leader of the orcs, but so's the Silent King, and he didn't have a model before, and this model being the first of its kind for that guy is just like, I don't know why I'm arguing against it, because Gazgul is an amazing model, to be fair, so I'm not taking anything away from it.
This is my point though, Chris. The bar for the Silent King to be a great model wasn't as high as Gazgul, because Silent King was brand new. They could have done a lot with the Silent King, but for them to get Gazgul right on such a way, the bar was higher because people expected more from Gazgul. When people knew when the Silent King, if and when the Silent King ever came out, it'd be a nice model, but people expect Gazgul Thracker to be the model because he is the boss, the leader of the War. I mean, it will almost, when you look at Gazgul, I think, oh man, I just want to get some things together now and paint them green and have some boys and have some fun, because I think Gazgul Thracker looks like he's having such a good time in his pose. Like I said, he's got a few different poses, but he looks like he's having a great time, like an orc should. There's something very earnest and honest about the orcs in 40k. I mean, like, you've got the Imperium and all the stuff they've got going on, the Fallen Empire, the fight against the darkness, all that stuff. Very, duty, honor, and all that. You've got Chaos over there, which is like, we're so evil. Look how evil we are. And you've got all the various Xenos factions out there with their own shenanigans. And orcs are just fun. All they care about is going up, smashing stuff, and having a great time. And there's something very honest and earnest about that. And that's what Gazgul looks to me. It looks like just like an honest to goodness, great big hard orc, looking like he's going to smash some people up, get some Dakar in, and have a fantastic time. And they've nailed him. They've exactly nailed him right. I mean, they were speculating they'd come back as like a prime orc, a really big, like the next evolution of an orc, but they kind of didn't.
Pretty big. He's slightly bigger than Guilliman, isn't he?
But they've sort of kept the heart and soul of his original concept, which is basically a huge, great big boy in armor, and they've evolved him into a new model, but you can still point at him and go, "Yep, that's definitely Gazgul Thracker. That's still definitely the hardest boy there is," and that's why I think he's one of the best. He is the best mini of 2020 for me, because the Silent King, the Void Dragon, the Silent King, all the other ones, Shadow Sun, all the other models that have come out, I don't think any of them could be a flagship for 40k as much as Gazgul Thracker is. Because Gazgul Thracker, I reckon this model could get people into orcs, and more importantly, get people into 40k with little introduction. That is a big hard orc with a great big gun and a great big claw. He's ready to smash some people, and he looks like he's going to enjoy it. And that's why he's winner. That's why he's winner 2020. And I reckon when GW do reinvent or reimagine other aspects of the orc range, I hope they're done at least a half as good as Gazgul. Because if they are, then there'll be a great range. And that's why I picked for 2020 Gazgul Thracker in a heartbeat, not even second thought.
I mean, it's worth us saying, like, we should have probably said this at the start, our opinions and our votes are purely 40k. There's been quite a bit released, I think, for Sigmar as well.
Mate, listen,
and some of the other games. But so we're a little bit biased because we. If you haven't already worked this out, guys, from listening to any of the other episodes, we're pretty much solely 40k. So yeah, apologies if you're listening to this thinking, oh well, why haven't you considered Sigmar or Blood Bowl or anything like that? Apologies, this is just what we're kind of in love with and what we follow. So we could be, there could be some other models from some of the other games or other versions of the game which are equally, if not better, than what we selected.
I will retort that, because even though I picked Gazgul in a heartbeat, I gave some considerable afterthoughts to Sigvald from Age of Sigmar, the new Sigvald, because he's fancy. He is so fancy. Because Sigvald is like Slanesh in Age of Sigmar, and I thought, Christ, if he looks that good, I wonder how good Fulcrum's going to be. You know which one I'm on about, don't you?
It's the new sort of champion, isn't he?
Yeah, I gave some serious afterthought consideration to Sigvald, but as good as he was never going to top Gazgul. Gazgul's the best, and that's it. But yeah, I mean that's our picks, guys. I mean, did you have any other potential thoughts, Chris? Any other ones that sort of like that was pretty good?
I've already said. There's been, to be fair, there's not been across any of the models that I remember, and this is why I was kind of having a bit of a whinge at the start about not including links to models and stuff, because if you've got a crap memory like me, in a short attention span, you kind of want things to be easy and you want to be reminded. So, it wasn't particularly easy trying to pull up any sort of list, any sort of visual list of what's been released this year. But I guess I've already mentioned really the ones that stood out. I don't think there's been a single model that I can remember that's been released this year that I thought that looks pants. Every single model across all the different games that I remember, Blood Bowl, Necromunda, all of those has been fantastic. So,
mate, look,
hats off to the designers and the GW team for those.
They've got this. They've got this down, and they, for every stupid decision or thing that you look at and go, really kind of decision GW makes, like they've got the miniatures side just absolutely locked down, and this is probably the reason why a lot of people love the hobby, because these miniatures are just like they're a league of their own, aren't they? Really?
Yeah.
So
go on.
Yeah, go on. Sorry, mate, I cut you off there.
No. So I was just going to finish on that and say that's why, in my opinion, Warhammer kind of sits at the top of that particular hill for this kind of hobby industry for figure hobbies and stuff. So, yeah.
Well, that's our picks, guys and girls. But let us know what you think of the cosplayer. What model do you think should be the model of 2020? I mean, like I said, for me, Gazgul all the way. I reckon Chris and probably Jamie, Silent King. But let us know what you think in the comments below. Go on to the actual segment on the community website and vote. Look at the pictures first separately, then go on and vote. And it'd be interesting to see. But until then, guys, if we don't catch you before, have a very good Christmas. And we'll see you all next time. See you later.
See you later.